What's up guys, Ben Milliken here, back for Mystery Tackle Box. You know, one of the most effective ways to catch bass of all time, especially in high pressure situations when those fish just don't want to bite, is the Carolina rig. But I feel like the rig doesn't get talked about that much anymore, even though it's just as effective as it always has been. So in today's video, I'm going to show you an exclusive rigging system from Mystery Tackle Box called the Carl's Stash Carolina Rig Kit, and how you can deploy that to catch a ton of bass all season long. Now I feel like there's tons of confusion and misconceptions because there's a million ways to rig a Carolina rig and everyone seems to have their own favorite method that you absolutely have to go out there and use. Well, Mystery Tackle Box has actually made things extremely simple and included everything you could possibly need in this rigging system. Let me show you guys how to get this rigged up, and then I'll talk about where and how you're going to be using this system. All right, well, let me show you how to get this Carl's Stash Carolina rig kit rigged up. First thing we're going to talk about is our line rod reel combo selection. I really like a nice long rod for this, so 7.3 to 7.6 preferably, and a heavy action rod. And I almost always throw it on 17-pound or 20-pound fluorocarbon. You know, if you're fishing really deep, you can get away with 17, but if you're fishing really like shallow points, rock piles, stuff like that, you're definitely going to want to bump it up to 20. And for our leader line, before we do anything else, we're going to cut off about an 18-inch section of leader line. You always want this to be a little bit lighter pound test than whatever you're using for your main line. I like 15-pound or 12-pound fluorocarbon depending on how heavy the cover is. Like I said though, you always want that to be a little bit lighter. That way if you do break off your bait, and you will get this snagged if you're throwing it in the right places, you're only going to lose your bait, you're not going to lose your whole rig and everything else. All right, so the first thing that's going to go on the line is your sinker. So we're going to put that 1/2 ounce sinker on. Next thing that's going to go on are big beads. So there's two different size beads. You want to put the big bead on. That goes right against that brass. Next up is the clacker. It's just a little brass piece, and you're about to hear why that's such an effective and important piece of the puzzle. Next up, another little bead. This one's a smaller size bead, and it's going to go right against your swivel, which is the very last thing you're going to need is a swivel. This little bead is awesome because it protects your knot. You know, you're going to have this thing banging around down there, so you definitely want that little bead on there to protect the knot from the clacker and that big weight. All right, so now that we got our weight, big bead, clacker, little bead, and swivel tied on, we need to attach that 18-inch section of slightly lighter pound test line to our other side of our swivel. All right, so now that we got this piece of line attached, we need to figure out what hook we're going to tie on based on the bait we're going to throw. Just like a Texas rig, you need to match that up to the size of the bait. Now, you can throw about any type of plastic bait on there. My personal preference is something small, something natural that has some flapping appendages on it. I think that's perfect, and it's been very effective for me. My favorite bait to throw is a little creature bait, and I really like this Ketchco Gator Hog. We're going to put that on the back of this Carolina rig, and this Stickies 3/0 hook that's included exclusively from Mystery Tackle Box is perfect for this little bait. All right, there we go. We got our Gator Hog tied on our hook, and our entire rigging system's all rigged up and ready to go. So why do we have all these clackers and beads and weights and everything? Super, super loud and audible under the water. And with the cover, the hard cover you're gonna be throwing this around, it is absolutely perfect. Leads me to the next thing. Let's talk about where to throw this bait. All right, so now that we got everything rigged up, ready to throw out there, let's talk about the types of areas we like to throw this on. You know, this is a bottom contact bait. It has to remain on the bottom to be fished effectively. And so my favorite places to throw this bait are any types of hard bottom areas, obviously. So rock piles, points, any type of drop off or break, the Carolina rig is absolutely perfect. So what we're gonna do, we're on the corner of a main lake point right here. We're gonna throw this guy out there as far as we possibly can. Let it get down to the bottom. It's about 15 feet deep right here, so it's going to take just a second to get down there. And all we're going to do is just move that rod sideways and drag it on the bottom. Now, you really cannot fish a Carolina rig slow enough. If you think you're fishing it slow, I suggest you slow down. So I really like to slow down once I get to any type of hard cover, rock, whatever is hard there on the break, because that's generally where you're going to get the most bites. So this is the one thing I will do a little bit different in my retrieve besides just a straight sideways drag. If I feel something hard down there, I'll just shake my rod tip and shake that slack right there in place. Lets that clacker beat everything, knock around down there, and really draws the strikes. So the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the hook set with a Carolina rig. You know, a Carolina rig is a very unique system and bait, and that the line flows freely through all your weights, clackers, beads, everything in there. So when that fish picks up your bait, he's not going to feel your weight or you on the other end of your line, which is very, very good, and you can really use that to your advantage. So when I feel a bite, when I'm dragging it along, and all of a sudden I feel that tick and it starts to pull forward, what I like to do is I'll just reel all the way until my rod tip is pointing at that fish. And once it is, a nice sideways sweep is how you want to set that hook. You don't want to come over the top. It's not a Texas rig or a jig hook set. You're not flipping into a dock and trying to rip them out of there. Just a nice reel into them and sweep to the side is all you need, and that drives the hook home 95% of the time. Head on out to your local lake and drag this Carl Stash Carolina rig kit around some of your best deep structure, points, rock piles, stuff like that, whatever is available in your lake, and I can almost promise you, you're gonna be surprised at the number of those pressured fish that commit to an awesome bait rigging system like this one. That's all I got for you guys today though. Thanks a ton for watching. I'm out of here.